Hi, everyone, and welcome back to section two of learning to live well with a disability or coping with disabilities. What we talked about last week was goal setting. Well, this week we're going to be talking about problem solving that will help you to obtain your goals. Okay, having a disability always raises specific problems about obtaining goals at times. You know what? But don't feel alone because we're all in that situation. Everybody in the world's actually in that situation, but sometimes it's more acute when you have a disability. Well, so you have to follow some of these tools. Problem solving is very important toward obtaining those goals. Do never, do never, do not ever not have goals because you think that they're unobtainable. Everybody should have goals. Okay? So it's even as simple as what we talked about last week, going to the movies. We need to talk about those kind of goals. And the one thing I want to stress in this class is that communication is the key. It's pretty much the key to everything. Even in the larger scope in the world, if people communicated properly and with respectfully to each other, we wouldn't probably have the wars we have. We wouldn't probably have nearly any of the situations we have that are negative out there. Communication is the key, in proper communication. Okay, let's discuss what proper communication is. So, if I want to go to the movies, if I go up to someone that will help me facilitate that and say, "Hey, I really would like to go to the movies tonight. Uh, are you available to help me out?" And they say yes, then you're good to go. You're well on your way to the movies. But if they say no, you know, just say, okay, well, whenever you have a time, whenever you have a chance, would you please let me know about going to the movies one night? And he said, well, I'm gonna ask someone else just to see if I can get the availability. So just because you hit that one roadblock, that no, no is the hardest word to hear when you have a plan for something. Just because you hit that no doesn't mean it stops you. It just means it sends you in another direction. And what we have to do is open our eyes and realize there are other directions out there. Instead of pounding your head against the wall, look around and see if there's a door right next to you. That's one of my Larryisms. But for example, after that, you go to the next person and say, "Hey, would you like to go to the movies?" They say, "Sure." Then you could go. See what I'm saying? Or you could do a negative communication. You go up and say, "Take me to the movies." And they go, "I can't. I'm busy tonight." "You ain't gonna take me to the movies? Blah 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 blah. Get all mad and ticked off, and you want to just pull your hair out because frustration because you can't go to the movies. That is an example of negative communication. Because what are you doing when you do that to yourself? Is you are beginning to pound your head against that wall. And trust me, I've hit many walls in my lifetime, and it's no fun. It's much more fun to look around and find that door and walk out. And I looked over at my door. Anyway, now we're going to talk about some other tools, but communication is the main one. And if you look at all these tools that we talk about in association with communication. As a matter of fact, you look at this entire lesson plan, this entire course with communication and proper communication, it's going to go so much better for you. Your life will be much better with proper communication. Now, I understand there are hindrances to communications with some people. Uh, Usually, after a while, you and your caregiver have a bond, and they can kind of figure out what you're asking for. So, just use that bond and realize that just because you want to do something at that point in time, it may not be possible. So you have to have a little flexibility there too. but hopefully that person is a good communicator also and will communicate back to you in a proper and respectful manner. Okay? One of the major tools that we're going to be talking about today is using pros and cons. So every situation, every goal that you have, there are certain pros and cons to it. Uh, for example, uh, you want to go to the movies. The pros are you get to go to the movies. The cons are you don't get to go to the movies. Well, let's break it down simpler than that. The pros are you have people around you that are willing to take you to the movies, or there is a way to get to the movies. The cons are sometimes we forget that we have those networking available to us, and so we don't express ourselves properly to those people to ask them to go to the movies. So another con might be, another pro might be, I have the finances to go to the movies. And the con is you're still running up against that same thing, the communication barrier, where you're not asking properly to go to the movies. So what I'd like for you to do is think about your own personal goals. Set up that pro and cons list. On the top of the goal page, write down what goal you're looking into or that you want to do. And then start writing down the reasons why it's a great idea and the reasons why it's a bad idea. First of all, let's start with the cons. Let's write down what the first thing is that you're not thinking. I mean, you think it's going to be the hardest part of this. Write it down. And then on the other side, try to think of positive ways to answer that question. So for every con that you write down, we need to counteract it and wipe it out with a pro. And what 98% of those pros are always going to be is proper communication, proper education. And by communication, I don't mean it does not always have to be speaking directly to somebody. It could be an email. It could be a Google search to gain information. It could be looking in the phone book. It could be just asking somebody, what time does the movie start? Or uh, how do you get to, uh, I mean, how much does it cost to get into the baseball game? Just things like that. And then you look at those things, and those are going to be, at the point when you're asking those questions, those are your cons. But what you're doing is you're asking the dang questions. So you're looking those things and you're finding the information. That's the biggest problem we have out there. We don't communicate well. People in general do not communicate well. We are more able to communicate today than we ever have been. Uh, 40 years ago, there would have never been videos on the internet because there wasn't the internet. There would have never been the availability to talk to somebody and actually see them on your phone. I mean, that was stuff that you seen in science fiction movies. But now we have those communication things. We can make a video or make a Skype call and call anywhere in the world. We can call anywhere in the world on our telephone. And our telephone bills aren't nearly what they used to be. Uh, we can get on the internet and touch everything, a little bit of everything. If there's some knowledge you want to know, it's there. And later on, I'll be talking about all kinds of different websites and things like that I've found that are awesome and that are great for people, especially people that are homebound. Uh, educational software, educational websites, college classes for free. I'll be talking about all kinds of things like that a little later on. We'll probably put that in like an appendix type thing. Okay, but let's just keep going. We talked a little bit about setting up our pros and cons list, and I want you to do that for this next break because we're about at 11 minutes now. I want to break this, and I want to go to uh, just the practical things I want you to do. Okay, we've talked about our goals. We've kind of defined what goals are. We've set a goal on paper. Now let's go down and let's break it down, the pros and the cons, and always try to find And you may not always be able to, but always try to find a pro for every con. We want to knock them cons down. You know, that's the way you're going to obtain what you're wanting to do is by slapping them cons down. Okay, let's do that for this next session, and when I come back, we will explore further into some more tools for problem solving and obtaining your goals. All right, so this has been Larry Sodders, and for Disability No Way. And I'd like to ask everyone that is watching these shows to please subscribe and please comment with any questions or with any uh, good information that you found, uh, websites that you know of, anything like that that will help with communication and things. I'm trying to set up an entire network here, and I actually have a web page now. It's on my comedy channel. It's called Bigfoot Porn. I know it sounds bad, but you can call it BFP if you want. And I made that site as a joke, but you can go over there, and it's got links to this channel, and also it's got a daily blog. And I'm going to set up a resource page on that for each of the different shows that I do, so for contacts and things like that. And I'm trying to pull together all this wonderful information that we're going to obtain here, and leave helpful hints and places to look. There was my chair turning off for positive communication. And again, that is www.bigfootporn, all one word, .space. No .coms, no .orgs, .space. And that's a WordPress blog place, and you'll see if you want to go there and just read my daily blogs, or uh, come in and leave a comment. Try and follow it. I mean, I think it's going to be good if you could come back every day, and because I blog every day there, and I've been blogging about a little bit about this, and it's going to be fun for us. And also, please make sure you subscribe, like, and comment here. All right, for this session, I'm going to call it quits, and we will talk to you in a few days when I have the next session put up. All right, thank you everyone for listening in, and you know what? This is helping me just as much as it's helping you, because it's making me realize a lot of what's going on with me. All right, thanks again, guys. It's very simple. Pro and con list. So you write down. You just take a piece of paper, put a line right down the middle of it. Write pros on one side and cons on the other. Sorry, my camera doesn't catch my visuals very much, but write pros on one side and cons on the other, and then begin to list those. Okay, on the top, put a goal. Say